I thought everything was planned perfectly until it wasn't. So, one of the things that you learn as a traveler is how to be flexible and adaptable when things don't always go exactly according to plan. And many of us who have lived long enough know that we need to have contingency plans. We have our primary plan, but then sometimes there's a plan B, C, and D in case something goes wrong. And when you're traveling in a different country or when you have multiple travel plans, you have to be able to remain flexible because you really never know what's going to happen. Of course, that happened to me during my round the world journey where I had an opportunity to visit 5 countries. I went to Spain, India, Vietnam, Singapore, and Japan before returning back home to New York in the US. And over my 6 weeks of travel, I had roughly drafted out the itinerary I wanted. And one of the things that I wanted to experience while I was in India was spending an overnight on a houseboat in South India. This was recommended to me by multiple travelers who said this is definitely one of their favorite experiences. Well, unfortunately, it didn't work out. Hi, I'm Kalima Fergus Ayele. I am the CEO and founder of Round Trip Ticket Home. I'm also an international school leader, and at Round Trip Ticket Home, we support schools and school leadership teams in using design thinking tools to build a culture of connection and belonging. Why design thinking? Well, because it's a human-centered approach to problem solving that really allows us to approach complex or systems problems with an experimental framework. We can leverage our empathy to really understand and define the challenge. We can use our creativity and imagination to envision an outcome that we desire, and then we can prototype and test solutions toward the outcome that we want. The reason why I call the company Round Trip Ticket Home is because we're all on our own hero's journey. We go through life responding to challenges and changing as we come back home with our new gifts and talents. Think about a story such as The Wizard of Oz, where we see the journey of our young heroine, Dorothy, who finds herself lost in this mystical and magical new world. She meets some companions along the way. She meets a scarecrow who's looking for intelligence, a tin man who's looking for heart, and a lion looking for courage. And when they finally get to the wizard, who is all powerful, or so they think, they realize that he has no real power, and everything that they needed, they had within them. In that way, everything that we need to solve the challenges that we're facing, we collectively have within us as well. So I find myself traveling the world, really in search of new perspectives. I believe that in many ways, we are each a piece of the puzzle. And sometimes the answers that we're looking for may exist in another part of the world. In my travels, I had an opportunity to experience some different ways of viewing the world through the eyes of a different culture. Of course, when you're visiting, there's only so far you can go, but still in this brief amount of time, you have an opportunity to experience the language, the culture, the music, the food, the energy of different people. It was such a disappointment that I wasn't able to have this houseboat experience, and the reason why is because I got really sick while I was in India. Of course, that's something that you really cannot plan for. You do your best to make sure that you're taking care of yourself when you travel, but sometimes it's just inevitable. So when I felt unwell, I actually wasn't able to make the flight that I had originally booked. And because I missed the flight and I was going to travel the next day, part of my itinerary was to stay on a houseboat. And unfortunately, that part of my plan had to be canceled. But I arrived the next day safely, and I was able to go to Munnar, which was the other part of my trip, which involves touring the tea plantations and learning a lot more about production of tea in India. I was able to taste a lot of tea. And when I tell you, I think I was also surprised because I enjoy tea, but this tea, which was, I suppose, the real deal, I found to be quite bitter, particularly their white tea, which I was told is one of the most expensive teas in the world. Just didn't like it. But I enjoyed learning about tea and tea production and the history of the tea factory in that part of the world. Overall, just remaining flexible and adaptable and recognizing that sometimes everything doesn't go according to plan. I was still able to have a wonderful time during my trips in South India. Thank you for listening. I would love for you to share as well if there was a moment where you had an experience where you just had to be adaptable. Things didn't go according to plan, but in the end, it worked out okay. Share your comments below. Please subscribe, share this video with anyone else, and I look forward to seeing you in the next conversation. Bye for now.